What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make some sense out of nonsense. And this might be the most sense out of nonsense that I've ever made, assisted by none other than Laura Ingram and her guests. Now, I had to stop what I was doing. I was uploading all kind of videos I've been working on over the last couple of days, but I was doing it, playing around. I was listening to Laura because I missed her. I missed her on Friday. I'm listening to her, out the corner of my eye. I ain't looking every once in a while. And then she brings on this guest who starts to talk about this old school group that had plans on how to tear America down from the inside out and insert communism. Now, there's been many people who put together the blueprints on how to destroy governments, economic systems, things like that. In fact, I think it was the Nazis that actually took the Democratic playbook for Jim Crow laws and simply just changed up the names and things like that. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, I'm not going to talk about that per se. But there's been many books and there's been many people who have left on record some strategies that we are able to identify in society and in people and their tactics to say, wait just a minute. Are you trying to overthrow our government? Are you trying to overthrow our way of life? Are you trying to implement some garbage? Now, you know how Diablos is. Diablos, he likes to make people think he don't exist. And that's how he's able to work undercover. Because people go, nah, man, you know what? Ain't no real thing. It's no devil, man. What you talking about, man? That's like believing in fairies and wizards and stuff, man. And let me tell you something, man. I don't believe in that. That allows him to slide stuff right up under people's nose. And they don't even know it. They don't even know it. They understand. They just think it's life. Well, someone came on Laura's show and he lays out some bullet points of a group back in the day that had goals and objectives to destroy our way of life and insert communism. Now, I'm sure that some people, just like my devil analogy, is going to listen to this video and they're going to see these points and they're going to be able to identify these points and what's happening right now and still say, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's just a coincidence. That's what it is, man. I don't believe it. Yeah, keep thinking that. Believe with that approach, you know what you sound like? You sound like someone who is giving the answers to a test and yet you still fail. My freshman year in college went in, they said, you want to test out of math? I said, yeah. Left me and one of my other college buddies in the room with the book and said, hey, here's the book. Tell you what, we're gonna leave. You guys knock yourselves out. Okay. And neither one of us could pass the test. We got the answers in the book. And I'm going, man, shame on us. The shame on us. That's like the football team you about to play this week just happened to leave their playbook laying out in front of you. You read the whole playbook and still lose the game. Still can't counteract it. Just won't believe what you see. It's like, nah, it can't be that easy. It can't be that easy. And still lose the game. They tell you what they gonna do. It's like the movie Billy Jack, where he told the dude, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take my right leg and put my right foot on that side of your cheek. And the guy looked at him like, he told you what he was going to do. And you still got your left cheek kicked. You deserve that. So what I'm about to let y'all hear, if you out there watching and thinking all of this stuff is going on and it's coincidental and there's no evil, diabolical forces working, then you deserve what's coming. Listen to this and tell me if these things sound familiar. Take it away.
That we'll try to get to later in the hour. But
my next guest
says there's something even more troubling about the calls to defund the police. Those demands mirror those of the Weather Underground in the 1960s. Of course, that violent group.
Okay.
Joining me now is Terry Turchi, former FBI Deputy Counterterror Director, author of the book In Their Own Words.
Now, wait a minute. Just in case you're wondering if this is like some of the people that MSNBC and them bring on. My name is Dr. Ravenna Rich, and I'm a specialist in things that happen around America to support the Democratic narratives. See, no, this guy right here is legit. Okay, counterterrorism. Now let's hear him identify what they found back in the 70s that was being used to try to destroy America. And you tell me if it sounds familiar.
Terry, these videos are hard to watch. They're not being reported on by the other
Violence.
networks,
No.
which is a stunning dereliction of journalistic
Absolutely.
duty. But what's the similarity with the Weather Underground, and why is that so jarring to you? For people who still aren't familiar with that group.
Tell us.
Sure, many people weren't even born at that time. The Weather Underground was a terrorist group back in the 1970s.
Okay, terrorists.
And they were responsible for well over 2,000 bombings and attacks on...
Now, understand this, y'all. They were a terrorist group. So no matter what people would try to reassign and fluff it up and say, really, they were a terrorist group. That means it's bad. That means it's bad, okay? Just letting you know, okay? But when people try to soften the term, flip it, or give justification of their behavior, you have to ask yourself, are you a part of this indirectly? Are you encouraging this? Do you have an invested interest in these terroristic behaviors? You just got to ask yourself these questions, but let's continue.
Government institutions, businesses in the United States. And certainly they had a major goal, and that goal was to foment a communist revolution.
Communist
they
revolution.
called themselves communist-minded men and women. And in 1974, they authored a document called Prairie Fire. And they outlined their strategy, and they outlined the way they could get to that strategy and actually bring down the U.S. government.
So let me get this straight. They made a playbook to show the FBI who got hold to that playbook their diabolical schemes and plans. And so therefore, if we go through that playlist and that book, we should be able to say, hey, if we see these things right here, then probably this is a part of a diabolical scheme to implement communism and destroy our way of life. Okay, let's continue.
We saw during that time frame massive protests, hundreds of thousands of people in the streets, kind of marshaled by the aftermath of the Vietnam War, then Watergate. And they used those protests to get where they wanted to go. But then they got scattered as the FBI was effective in running them down. And eventually many of them left the country. Ultimately, the Weather Underground kind of went out of business. But they left Prairie Fire behind. What was their strategy? This was a 180-page document. Their strategy was called resistance.
Resistance?
Not too long, maybe about 5 minutes after President Trump won the election in 2016, Democratic Party leaders came out and they said, we're going to resist. We're going.
So wait, that was their slogan to everyone. We're going to resist. Not just out of coincidence. This playbook that was left by these globalists, these people who hated the way America's economic system was set up and our government was set up and all of that stuff. This group of terrorists outlined their strategy, and their strategy was the exact word that the Democrats have planted in the minds of all these impressionable Americans, called resist. Well, I mean, maybe that's a coincidence. So, let's keep going.
To embark upon a strategy of resistance to the president. But that's not, that's only the beginning.
Just the beginning?
The document, the Prairie Fire document, actually contained 6 points that the Weather Underground felt very important about. These were the planning points that would bring about this revolution. They wanted capitalism.
We're going to put them on screen.
Put them on screen.
So people can see what you're talking about. Go through them briefly.
Now, with that being said, I'm going to let you take a look at these real quick before I cover them. All right, so let's start from the top and see if this kind of fits what's going on right now. And after I go through these 6, if you're one of the people who is a part of this strategy, either you are doing it willfully or ignorantly, but if you got one smidge of common sense to be able to see what's going on right here and say, well, yeah, that pretty much lines right up to what's happening, then you're a dummy. You're one of these people who's saying, well, you know what? Even though my enemy is telling me exactly what they're going to do to me, they left the playbook out. This we're going to do. We're going to show up at 9 o'clock. We're going to bomb this. We're going to do that. And you're going, I don't believe it. Then you deserve to get blown up. You deserve to get beat. If you get the answers up front, the strategy, and still can't see it, you're willfully blind. That's what you are. So let's see. First of all, destroy capitalism. So you mean to tell me this whole push to make sure that we start implementing democratic socialism slash communism is just a coincidence? You mean to tell me this aggressive approach towards all of these corporations and businesses and wanting to, make sure that the government inserts itself and control all of those entities? You mean to tell me that's just a coincidence? You mean to tell me the attack on our medical industry and saying, you know what, Medicare for all, we want to control all of that? You mean to tell me that's all just a coincidence? You mean to tell me the whole Democratic Party, for some reason, agreeing with Donald Trump for a change when he says, okay, Fauci and the rest of these people telling me I need to shut the government down for a while, but not long, because we can't do that too long. And then, we need to shut it down. And when we shut it down, after a while, after Trump starts seeing the damage that this is being done to our capitalistic government, then you get the Democrats saying, well, that's not important. And not to mention, we're going to fund all of these companies, and there's going to be restrictions that allow us as the government to get in your business if you're going to take this money that you need from us demanding that you shut your business down. Yeah. And now we're going to help you, but we want more control of your business. And not to mention all of the people that were middle class and was booming, and they said, forget all y'all. No, you can't open back up until you are bankrupt and out of money, okay? We want this whole capitalistic setup to just collapse. Sound familiar? I'm just kidding. That's one of their strategies. Here we go. The weapon of choice, systematic racism and police racism. So you mean to tell me this narrative that there is systematic, systemic racism that was a part of this terroristic group that want to destroy our country? Right there in their playbook, they the ones that started all of it and said, you know what would be a good idea? Let's convince Americans that there's some boogeyman floating around that y'all can't really identify, get your hands on. No solution to it. It's just out there in the stratosphere. And it's called systemic racism to keep all of y'all that are minorities suspicious. Anything that happened to you that seems like it's blocking you from getting ahead, seems like it might be, discriminating against you. I mean, regardless of the real facts or reasons, you have to now believe that it's a part of a diabolical scheme and all of this built-in racism that you can't see because it's just floating around there, systemic, see, that's keeping you down. So now that keeps us all from what? Uniting. Interesting. Okay. And then the next one is police racism. I see. So now, last year, there was 10 black folks killed by police officers. And then out of those 10, 8 of them were justified killings. And 2 that were not justified went to jail and prison. And then this latest killing, these men have been arrested. And it appears to be that any, suspiciousness around the police killing unarmed black men, they've been judged, they've been punished. And we don't want to bring up the police that killed a whole bunch of white men, way more than the black men that they killed. We don't bring that stuff up because, see, the goal is to push police racism. And how can it be police racism if white cops or any cops are killing white people? Because, see, the goal is to make minorities get mad at 2 groups, white people and the police, and view them all as suffering from systemic racism. Man, these guys are good. They're good. And they left their playbook laying out for us. And look what's happening right now. You can see it. I'm like, wow, I'm reading this, and then I'm looking out my window and I see all of this. Then check this out. Identify the victim class. Now, I find it strange that white people, white liberals, are the ones that are very good in picking out all of those that are oppressed, all of those that are suffering from systemic racism. Yet they don't include themselves in the equation. It's not us. It's the system. It's the system. Systemic racism is out there, and we are the ones to tell you which ones are systemic. Which areas, what groups are suffering? Which groups are victims of this systemic racism? We'll tell you. Don't ask us. We'll tell you. Okay? So I find that very interesting that they're doing that. In fact, I saw many white Antifa kids running around telling black people that you're victims and giving them bricks to break stuff in their own neighborhood while they jump in their car and bounce. And isn't it funny how the Democrats and the liberal media all just make a lot of effort to identify small groups and tell them, don't ask them, tell them that they're a victim. Another example, how about this one? Black people, the reason we need to deal with voter suppression is because you guys, you're underprivileged. You can't get to wherever the BMV or, to get an ID. I mean, y'all get anywhere else and you need IDs and stuff to do all this other stuff. But when it comes to voting, there's systemic racism out there that is trying to keep you from getting an ID so they can keep you from voting. But yet when you go into the black neighborhood and say, hey, do you think it's impossible for you as a black person because you're so deprived in the black neighborhood, you can't get to the BMV to get an ID? No. Why would you think that? Oh, well, because white liberals with an agenda that's kind of falling into all of these bullet points are telling us that you can't do it. And some black people, right over the head. The insult of that goes right over the head. How about this right here? Organize the victim class. So, Black Lives Matter, come here. Come on, everybody gather in. You need funding, and we're here to support you. We want you to be organized in your tactics. Matter of fact, when you and Antifa happen to show up downtown, we'll help you by providing bricks. And here's your strategy. Make sure you do this, and that, because that'll stick it to the man. And these idiots go out and do it because they don't see themselves in this plan. How about this? Engage in international solidarity with the global movement. Oh, so all of this push for no borders and globalism and sending our jobs overseas and all of that stuff, just coincidence. Coming out of one particular party, the Democratic Party, coming out of one particular media group that gets real mad when you start talking about sovereignty of America, love of your country, pride in your country, looking out for America first, making sure we're not getting mistreated by the global network that we participated in that allowed us to receive the banana in the tailpipe for years on trade and all this other stuff. Yeah. Funny how they call us racist and white nationalists and all that stuff just because you don't want to be abused and you want to remain a sovereign country and not blend in with the rest of them, just because of that. And that makes you some type of racist, white nationalist, even if you're black, it doesn't matter. Anybody who loves their country and wants to remain America and look out for our people, you're a racist. I don't care what color you are. And then finally, how about this? Attack and dethrone God. Now, for all you Christians out there who, y'all saying, you know what? Donald Trump can't be a Christian. Here he is holding the Bible in his hand. And he don't go to church. He don't go to church. So what if you don't go to church? If you are a Christian and you hate Donald Trump that much where you can't see for the last 10, 15, 20 years, the left has been gunning for the church, saying, get that mess out of everything. Get it out of Christmas. Get it out of Easter. Get it out of the government. I don't want it in no public buildings. If I ride past a graveyard and I see too many crosses up there and say, let's just say this is a graveyard for soldiers who died. And of course, it's being funded by the government. That's too much. See, because the cross represents, Christ, and we got to separate church and state. We got to separate that. And then, ironically, as soon as the Democrats took back the House, I think it was maybe Jerry Nadler, one of them, first order of business is to sign legislation to get So Help Me God out of being sworn in. Yeah, that was a priority. Forget all the other stuff. Yeah. Constant attacks on Christianity. But yet, all of these Christians are, all that goes to the wayside when the liberal media and the Democrats throw up racism, when they throw up Donald Trump is a hypocrite because he don't really go to church. Even though he signed legislation declaring that church is essential, whereas all the Democrats and the liberal media was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You know what's essential? It's protesting and over racism. And we don't care if the coronavirus get mixed in with all of that. It's a bigger cause. But going to church, that's not essential. Even though he destroyed the Johnson's Amendment, which protects churches and allowed them to be able to preach, even if it steps on the toes of the government, which the Johnson Amendment, you can't be talking about it. You talk about everybody else, but not us. Even though President Trump has been more pro-Christian than any president I've can remember in years. This man let people come to the White House, pray for him, and actually end the prayer in the name of Jesus. They don't have to give that generic water dismount. Sitting there, all right, God, we thank you for blessing this country and your God, keep doing it, and this we pray in your honor. Because if you say in the name of Jesus, he excluded everyone else. You know, all of that stuff. And yet this president allows these things, and all the liberal media has to do to distract Christians is say, well, look at Trump and not at what Trump supports that also supports what you believe. Forget whether he go to church or not. Forget whether he's praying and he's walking around with incense and chanting and all of that stuff. That's not what the Christians should be looking for. It's, hey, Donald Trump is the president. He's not my preacher. He's not nobody I need to confess to. But the fact that he supports the things that I support, he has my vote. And that's with Don Lemon, who said, well, look at Trump. Come on, you think he really goes to church? Don't understand. It's not about Trump. If you're a smart Christian. Now, once again, I have to give my disclaimer. I'm not, just because I'm a Christian, I'm not saying let's disrespect all the other religions. But Christianity has been on the hot list of these people who are doing every one of these bullets right now. And those people are not just, liberal pawns running around, implementing this diabolical scheme. But the Democratic Party leaders, along with the liberal media, can see themselves all in this. I know those are words that we're all looking at, but if you look closely, you'll see Nancy Pelosi's face appear. You'll see Chuck Schumer's face appear. You will start to see Don Lemon, CNN's logo come around, MSNBC logo, George Soros' face rising up. All that. You'll start to see it as you read down those 6 bullet points. So I'm going to leave them for you as I go to just marinate, chew on a little bit. And if you, for some reason, are reading these and saying, I don't see what you're talking about. I don't see how that's happening right now. This doesn't apply. I don't know what you're talking about. Then you's a bigger fool than I expected. And once again, it gives justification for me to start feeling like I am an alien amongst humans that I'm going, I can't believe these humans. I can't believe they don't see this. Now, you've been listening to Kevin at Kevin's Corner. I had to bring this one to y'all immediately. Now, before I go, I'm hearing a lot of gunfire out there. Rapid. And it's not the 4th of July. So something's happening. Do I need to put my cape on? Do I need to... wait a minute. I ain't got the big ass... Dun, 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 dun. I got to go. Anyway, God bless y'all. Don't forget, hit like, share, subscribe, notification button. Find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check me out every Wednesday night live in Kevin's Corner, 7:30 live on Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, and my radio blog talk show. Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. If you like the products, go to the link below, put Kevin in the promo code, and you'll get 20% discount. If you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link below to do that as well. And we will see y'all next time in Kevin's Corner. And don't forget to check and make sure you're still subscribed and your notifications are set to all. God bless.